Good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to our Otsego County April 1st, 2026 Board of Representatives meeting. Roll call members, please.
Frazier.
Here.
Powers.
Here.
Brockway.
Here.
Hinchey.
Here.
Kennedy. Here. Mickle. Here. Burley. Here. Marietta.
Here.
McCarty.
Here.
Wilbur. Absent. Mendez. Absent. Martini. Here. Clapperton.
Here.
Basile. Here.
If you're able, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're at our portion of our meeting called Privilege of the Floor. I invite anybody who'd like to address the board to come up to the podium, state your name and address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please. Would anybody like to address the board this morning? We have peace. Okay. Thank you. I need a motion to approve the minutes of March 4th, 2026, which are online. So moves.
Second.
Ready, motion and second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Presentation of petitions, communications, and notices.
I have a, excuse me, I have a summons with notice, Michael Stabola against Otsego County Sheriff's Office, Sergeant Craig Morrison, Deputy Jess Thornhill, for violations of the plaintiff's Fourth Amendment rights, including but not limited to right to privacy in their persons, phones, etc., abuse of power of police office under color of law, harassment, negligence, and or reckless infliction of emotional distress. The money damages sought is in excess of $300,000. Yes.
Thank you. This morning, we're going to welcome our planning director, Tammy Harris, to she has a special presentation on our county comprehensive plan for us. Good morning, Tammy. Thank you.
Good morning.
Hey. Good morning. I think most, if not all, the board knows me, but for those who are here from public who don't know me, I'm Tammy Harris. I'm the director of the Planning and Solid Waste Department. And I was asked to come here today to talk about the idea of how to create a county comprehensive plan. In preparation for this, I spoke with some other counties that have comp plans or counties that are working on comp plans. I also spoke with the Department of State. So you'll see I've included some quotes from those conversations and some pictures from those plans kind of embedded throughout. So what is a comp plan? A comp plan is simply our vision for the future. It's aspirational. It's how we see development in our county moving forward. Many of you probably know of comp plans for your towns, your villages, the city, where land use regulations are a big focus of how they achieve the goals of the comp plan. Obviously, with the county level, we don't have land use regulations, so we don't approach the comp plan in that very same way. We're more so looking at how we want to prioritize our resources, our time, what partnerships we want to form to move the county forward in whatever direction we envision for ourselves. So county comp plans do not override what's going on in the towns or the villages or the city. They're not, they don't override local control, land use control, home rule, or anything like that. It's just a vision. Another key piece of comp plans is they harness input from the public as well as expertise from many different sectors throughout the county. And one thing that'll be different in a comp plan from, say, our strategic plan is while we will definitely need to work with our department heads for their expertise, right? If we're talking about housing, there's a number of county departments we're going to need to talk to for their information about like what housing means for what the work they do, but we're also gonna need to talk to outside agencies about that as well. So it's not the same exercise as the strategic plan, it's a little different. So why would we want to create a comp plan? The number one piece is we probably all have a general idea of what our county needs and kind of where we want to go. But the comp plan demonstrates that we've actually put the time and energy into researching and confirming that. One of the big pieces of having a comp plan is it directly translates to getting grant. I was at an Appalachian Regional Commission workshop last week where they straight up told us this: if your project is not in a comp plan, it's not getting funded. So that means we're able to align our resources, our time and energy into what the community actually wants and needs. Ultimately, the goal of comp plan is to improve quality of life through implementation of that vision. So I talked to one of the counties that is in the process of updating their comp plan. They've had one since 2009. So they're one of the kind of first counties to really go through with this. It's becoming a new thing for counties to think about comp plans, but they have found that it's been extremely valuable in that time to giving their planning department and their kind of partnerships the direction they need to know what kinds of projects they need to put their energy behind. And they found it so valuable that they're going to be updating it. They just got the award a couple years ago from the Department of State to get grant funding to update. So it's something that, you know, you're going to want to revisit from time to time. So what has the county done so far that's similar or related to the comp plan? In 2016, we had our strategic prioritization plan, which has elements of a comp plan, right? There's visioning in there. There was public outreach. There's goals. There's talk about things that are outside of county government for what we want to see kind of county-wide. So there's elements of that in there. There's also elements of the strategic plan in the 2016 plan. So there was talk about government efficiency, prioritizing capacity and that kind of stuff. So then in 2025, we had our first full year of implementing the strategic plan. And so that has really shifted that focus to an internal departmental focused plan that communicates our existing programs and kind of documents our progress on how we're implementing our existing program. So then the comp plan is sort of the logical next step to how do we then document how we want to move forward in the future. These are a couple examples that were shared with me as some really great examples of recent comp plans in other counties. The first one is in Shenango County and the second one is Onondaga, right? So two very different counties in terms of population, density, development. And there's some common threads and there's some differences. So the first thing is you can kind of call it whatever you want. It's a comp plan, but you know, Shenango calls it their vision plan. Onondaga calls it Plan Onondaga. So you kind of call it whatever you want, but at its core, it's a comp plan. The common threads between the two are that they had very, very robust public outreach, a strong public participation plan, strong marketing, and building a countywide identity. So those were the common threads between the two. And the differences really pertain to their communities. So, you know, Shenango's really focused on goals that want to preserve the rural way of life. How do we maintain a high quality of life in a very rural community? Whereas Onondaga was looking at how do we develop neighborhoods, right? So it really reflects the differences between the two. And Otsego County's comp plan would also kind of represent our essence as well. So leading into that, what could that look like for us? We would look at, you know, collaborative effort. We would want to work with key partners. I did talk ahead of this with Otsego Now, Destination Marketing. So, you know, are you invested in this? Would you want to participate in this process? Is this valuable to you to align kind of between our three agencies, where we're headed as a county? And they said, yes, absolutely. So they're on board. And I've had some early conversations with some other potential partners as well. And it seems that this is where people feel like we should be heading. We would want to look at wide-reaching engagement for all corners, like throughout all corners of the county. So all of our municipalities and the businesses and residents in those communities should feel like there's something in that comp plan that is of value to them. Obviously, we have a lot of different types of communities, so some of the goals are not going to apply to everyone, but they should feel like there's something they can get out of it. And I just threw out some ideas of some things that we might want to prioritize, right? So some of the things that we might want to talk about in our comp plan are things like housing and infrastructure, farmland, open space, the interaction between economic development and tourism, and how do we maintain kind of our rural, small town way of life. The process may reveal other things, but those are some of the things that I see as probably elements that we would want to investigate further. So the process for implementing a comp plan first starts with assembling a comp plan committee. So this would be representatives from many different sectors within the community who are committed to the process and bring different levels of expertise to the table. Once you assemble those partners, you want to procure a consultant. Once you get the consultant and the partners to the table, together, those two will work to implement public outreach. So you want to draft a public participation plan. This would need to be very robust public outreach. And quite honestly, this is probably where the expenditure piece of it is one of the greatest, because you really have to make a sincere effort to meet people where they're at. Along with the public outreach, you're doing data gathering, data analysis. What are the current trends? What's the current situation in the county? You take what the public says, as well as key stakeholders, mix that together with the data and start to form goals. Then when you get those goals assembled, you draft the plan, you put it out for public comment. You all would want to review it. We revise until it's at a point where we feel like it's ready to adopt, and then it's adopted. So some of the key sources of funding and expenditures related to a comp plan include a grant from New York State Department of State. They have their Smart Growth Community Planning Program. This would be possibly the sole funding source, and at the very least, the key funding source for a comp plan like this. They fund 90% of the project costs, but that 10% match can be stacked. So effectively, you can get the consultant fees fully covered under the grant. It's a $75,000 minimum. These plans are very expensive. I'm going to go over that in the next slide. So there would be no issue with meeting that minimum. And they allow the funding to occur over a 3-year period, which is probably really necessary to utilize that full period to really make sure you've done your full investigation. And particularly the public outreach can take a very long time. So if we were to go forward with this grant, we would apply through the consolidated funding application, which opens in May, closes in July. You find out about awards in December. So one key part of this grant program is you must include smart growth elements in the plan. I will go over what smart growth means in just a moment. And they've only awarded 2 counties previously. So they only started making this available to counties just in the last couple of years. This is a new thing, but in speaking with Department of State, you are highly encouraged to apply. So that's promising. And in terms of the key expenditures, right, like I said, it's going to be the consultant. And I spoke to some other counties that Lewis County and Cayuga County that are currently have this grant and are doing this. They're both doing it a different way. One has a consultant, one doesn't. But the recommendation from both was use a consultant. But while our staff are doing a great job of doing the plan, we really wish we had a consultant to augment our capacity, because it's taking up all of our time. So how do we also continue the regular functions of the department while also doing this? Go to the next one. So smart growth, this, you might not be able to see all of this. I can send you all if you want to read the smart growth elements, but I'm not going to read them word for word. I'll translate it for you. The Department of State requires every community to assess smart growth principles throughout the plan. Smart growth principles are a generally agreed upon best practice for planning and development. And essentially, it just means that the comp plan needs to strike a balance between things that are going to increase development where it's appropriate, grow the economy, and also preserve the things that we want to preserve, whether that's farmland, open space, waterways, whatever we decide that is. So basically what Department of State conveyed to me is we don't have to actually say implement every smart growth principle, but we do need to evaluate them and how that applies to our community, whether it applies to our community. So we need to be there. Okay, so thinking of budget. So this would be over 3 years, so starting in 2027, ending in 2029. I got a wide range of cost estimates from both the counties and Department of State. And the reason why there's such a big range, so I got anywhere from $250,000 to $450,000 over 3 years. The reason why there's such a big range is because it really depends on the intensity of your project scope and what additional maybe focused studies. Some of them want to tack on like a very focused economic development study, right? Well, that's going to increase your price substantially. So that being said, we will refine the project scope and get a much better estimate leading into the grant application. We'll talk with committee and we'll get a clearer idea of what we really want to assess. But even assuming the high end, so assume, I don't think this is what we're gonna have, but assume we look at a $450,000 project cost. 90% of that is for the consultant, which would be funded by the grant, so that's $405,000 to a consultant and their subs. 90% of that, 10% of that has to come up in planning staff time match. I took our average staff rate plus our fringe, and that's just for planning staff, so not solid waste or waste and measure, just planning staff. Divided that out over the $45,000 out over our average rate. And over 3 years, we're talking about 45 minutes a week for staff. So I think it's a very doable match, knowing that we're gonna actually probably come in less than that. So I think we can do it. So next steps, if this is something that the board wants to go forward with, we will start to really refine that scope so we can get some much clearer cost estimates, do a much better idea of what we're looking at and how much we would be applying for. We're going to be bringing a resolution through IDA to affirm kind of the commitment to the process. There will probably be maybe some follow-up resolutions to, once we have the grant guidance out, it's not out yet, but once May hits, we get the grant guidance, we know exactly what the grant resolution needs to say. We would follow up with an additional resolution to apply for the grant. And then from there, it's assembling commitments from the partners, getting letters of support, drafting our narrative and putting in what we think would be a strong grant application. And then you wait and see until we hear back in December whether we got it. So does anybody have any questions about what that process looks like or what we would be looking to get out of this?
Do the towns have any place in this at all?
Absolutely. I would say there'd be key stakeholders. We would want to welcome their engagement. It does not override their comment.
But if they don't have a comp plan, they have to have a comp plan. Be involved in this or not?
No.
Okay.
No, and if they don't have a comp plan, and they feel like what came out in our comp plan was a benefit from that to them, they could utilize that to try to support the work they're doing in grant. Maybe not so much if in their land use regulations, they probably need to have their own, but, yeah.
So Tammy, I, in my farmer's market world, have a vendor from Pennsylvania, from Wayne County in Pennsylvania, they have a comp plan. And so he always is asking me things like, Nick, doesn't your county do this or that? And one of the things that they've done is through their ag side of their comp plan. They're developing strategies with their Ag Farmland Protection Board to come up with ways that are workable to get ag land farmed. So people who can't afford to buy a whole farm might be able to team up with a partner who has farmland, but maybe they don't have, their children didn't choose to farm, or they have the land, but, and it's an asset for them, but they're not using it, and they have tractors and they know how to do all the skills that go with farming, to coordinate those people on both sides of that equation to get some of the equipment used, the farmland used, and to get the younger people or the other people involved in farming. And the foundations laid for that in their comprehensive plan. So
Yeah.
it's interesting to see how you start with this, but then you end up with other things down the road. So yeah, he went over this complete thing, pulled it up for me, showed me. They had 4 key things: transportation, housing, ag, and workforce. So yeah, it does have, implications for future success, one would hope. So
Yeah, that's a great example.
yeah.
I have a question about the timing.
Yes.
It takes 3 years to develop the initial plan.
Yes.
I think most plans usually last like 10 years before you revisit them. Does that seem?
More or less. So when I first started, they always used to say, update your comp plan every 5 years, which is just not realistic.
Yeah.
And now the recommendations have softened a bit on like a hard timeline. Probably 10 years is a lot's changed over a decade. It's probably a good, indicator, but usually for at least at the town level, right? I can't say at the county level yet, but at the town level, once it's clear that they're starting to see new development pressures or different types of projects that they've never considered before, and new, like one of the big things was like solar development. And so people were saying, well, we need to revisit our comp plan because we don't think about this anywhere because we previously didn't have to. So sometimes there's just things that occur that tell you it's probably time for us to revisit this.
And then in that, well, no, go ahead. Let me just finish. Yeah. So in that updating, it doesn't take 3 years again. What is the average time to update? Like a 6-month process, you think, or like, because it's probably hard to get all the stakeholders back.
Yeah.
You're not going to get this type of a grant necessarily to have that size to redo the whole thing.
No, and in fact, if you see the one county that did it, their last one was in 2009. So it's been several years since the last time they updated it. Shenango says Vision 2050, right? So they're looking way far out.
Okay.
How long does it take to update? As long as it needs to take. I mean, it depends on how some communities, when they update their comp plan, it's like, yeah, it's just like a half-year process because they just need to address a couple other things. Some are like, everything's changed. We need to blank slate and do this over again. I would hope that we wouldn't be in that position.
Okay.
And there's nothing saying that you can't at some point in that interim recognize a glaring problem and go in and fix that problem. Because things are changing so fast. For example, AI that may affect it in 2 years. So,
Or short-term rentals. Yeah. Okay.
I'm assuming this would also give towns like some guidance on maybe developing their own comp plans or, adjustments they may need to make to their existing comp plans. Does it kind of act like helping them also like hone in on the role of their community in the overall county plan?
Yes, and it also communicates to them. So none of our communities have a professional planning staff, right?
Right.
So who is the professional planning staff for the 34 municipalities in the county? Us. So while we don't have enough of us to fully be a professional planner for every single community. So we have to think about prioritization and how are we going to utilize our human resources and what in what capacity and what projects does the county feel that it's worthwhile to put our time and energy behind. So it communicates to them like, these are the kind of projects, or this is the kind of development that if you are interested in working with us or getting that additional support, right? That this is where we're gonna put our resources behind. So if it's, infrastructure, right? Like that's the kind of stuff we want to build out, if that's what results from it. So it can guide them generally, but I don't want to feel like it ever overrides or tells, like, if they disagree, and that's right, home rule is still king here. So that's they can still do what they want with their community.
I would just add to what Meg shared. One of the panels at NISAC was on Oneida County's relationship and the new development that's going in for Chobani. And how much of that was sort of because they had determined these were the kinds of projects they wanted. This was the space they had available. Like, they'd done a lot of this legwork to bring in this incredibly important project that's going to create all kinds of jobs, already is creating all kinds of jobs, and really anchoring a section of the community. They used part of their airport, but it was all sort of came out of, it sounded like the plan that they had developed. I think it could be very valuable to us in terms of future development and how we're thinking about inviting companies to bid and all of that.
Anyone else this morning? Thank you, Tammy. Very well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
You'll email that to the board, Russ?
Yeah, I'll email you the presentation. So you don't have that. Yeah.
No one else is laughing. I love it, Tammy.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Tammy.
You had me at it pays for itself.
Clear plan, your reports, or should I just email it?
Cool.
Before.
Some other.
Oh, yeah. Is the link on there? I can type it out. Thank you.
That work?
Yeah.
Oh. Yes. Well, we're.
Okay, reports of standing committees, Representative McCarty, Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We met on March 12th at 9 a.m. Today you're gonna see 6 resolutions from Public Works, but one of them is gonna be gold. First came in was planning and solid waste, Tammy Harris. Tammy requested approval to accept the letter of intent for the Butternut Tower lease agreement, noting that this is a letter to the state related to Butternut Towers and a grant with MEEVED to put cell service on that tower. We approved that. Tim Donahue was not in. He didn't have any resolutions, but he sent a list of things, accomplishments over the last month. I'm not gonna read all of them. They're in the minutes. Rich Bremer, Highway Superintendent, came in. Rich asked approval to authorize the chair of the board and administrators to execute agreement with New York State in connection with the County Route 11 roadway departure safety action plan program for guardrail emplacement. We were awarded $736,000 for that, roughly over. He also requested approval for a budget modification to increase D000435060 Bridge, New York, and D51125224000 Bridge, New York, for the amount of $54,929. We approved that. Rich also requests approved to contact with Fisher Associations for engineering and associated services in connection with the County Route 11 bridge, or what, RWDSA, I forgot what that was, guardrail replacement. And we approved that. That's $57,820. Rich also asked for approval to amend resolution 4520-602107 to allow the superintendent of highways to fill within the highway department above base pay positions. Before we had a new contract that was at the highest step 3, but with the new contract, there's 6 steps. So what this does, it means that they still will be starting at number 3, which is in the minimum. We approved that. Rich requested approval to authorize the highway superintendent to purchase all equipment and service in relation to replacement the bridge bin 3353640 over Roger Hollow Brook on County Route 1 in the town of Unadilla at a cost not to exceed 1.5 million. We approved that. Rich also requested approval to authorize the highway superintendent to issue materials and services related to road striping. We approved that. We're gonna be amending that resolution when we vote on the resolutions. And we also approved the timber sale to Green Lumber Company for $101,949, and this is number 6 and 12. We had one other bid, and that was for 26,000. So we did take the high bid, of course. Rich requested approval to surplus truck 93. We approved that. It's a 2014 Mack Tandem. Rich also requested approval to submit an application for funding opportunities from Senator Schumer congressional directed spending for replacement of County Route 1A bridge. We approved that. They also requested approval to raise the fuel surcharge on fuel that goes out of our depot to other municipalities and other entities. They were paying like 10%, 10 cents over cost. That wasn't really costing us what it was to take care of the pumps and everything else. And so the committee decided that they were gonna raise that to 25%, 25 cents a gallon. That was approved. Rich gave an update of a bunch of projects they've been doing. One of them that, just so everyone knows, been going on for about 3 years. The County Route 59 bridge cannot be constructed until 2027. The steel is not available. And they did have a public information meeting on County Route 4 bridge project over in Gilbertsville. I don't know how that went, but that was done on March 17th. We did have a discussion about the Civil War monument out front here. About Rich is gonna take a couple trees down. Just give you a brief update on that. We've had some people looking at that. We've got a couple quotes. We got a couple, 1 or 2 more coming in. It's quite a monument, and it has moved. And so Tim and I talked yesterday with a memorial outfit, and he's gonna get a quote, but first they said this monument was granite, then they said it was limestone. Well, it's really marble. So
That's marble.
that's marble.
Are we sure though?
If you look at it, it's like if you look at the flat part, if you look at the flat part where the mold and stuff on it, it's pink, and you can see where they sawed it.
Okay.
So
Well, they saw limestone too.
Yeah.
well, he's the guy, the monument guy said it was,
I'll refer to him,
and
but that's the dullest looking marble I've ever seen in my life.
well, it's pretty dirty too. It shine up on spooning, but so he's it's a project that's gonna be quite expensive. And Tim and I and the monument guy think it kind of should be done in some phases. So, but when we figure out exactly what we need, because by rights, it should be all taken apart and reset, because there's some of the joints are quite thick. And the guy yesterday gave an estimate that could cost you anywhere between $300,000 and $400,000.
Oh, no.
Just to take that all apart and put it back together. So
Well, that escalated.
Yeah.
well, but that doesn't count, you know, I mean, we got the pointing up, the doing the cleaning, which would probably be the cheapest way to go for now, but anyway, we're working on it. Next meeting is April 16th at 9 AM. And if there's any questions, I'll try to answer.
Thank you.
Oh,
Chairman, questions?
question,
Yes.
not about that.
Oh,
Do we know if the local flooding, from yesterday had any impact on local roads? Yes,
Yes, not county roads.
yeah, county roads, I'm sure,
Yeah.
no, state roads are a different,
no,
I'm worried about our.
we haven't heard anything about the county roads.
Okay.
That kind of was good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just curious, I was watching everything flood and I was like, that's not great.
well, the closing of I-88 was right after I went over it. Does that tell you anything?
They weren't responsible. It's Keith's fault.
They have to send us a bill.
Yeah, probably.
Representative Powers.
Yes, I would like to say that I did attend the Gilbertsville meeting, and I think it's safe to see, they understand now why we are running right out and building a new bridge. The drop of a hat. There's a lot that goes into it, and I think they now understand that. So.
Good.
Thank you. Anyone else? Intergovernmental Affairs, Representative Marietta.
Yes, thank you. I guess, not to recap the minutes, you know, I think we all have those and they are publicly available. I just wanted to highlight two main things that IGA discussed. One is actually three. The first being what Tammy Harris just presented on the comprehensive plan. And, you know, I think we, you know, my hope is that through IGA, we'll be able to take the next steps in trying to help Tammy pursue that funding and kind of have the county at least commit, not financial resources at the moment, but at least commit to the idea of pursuing comprehensive plan. So she has what she needs to start that, obviously, lengthy process that we're looking at, but it definitely seems like well worth the investment. The other thing that you'll see on the agenda is the community events grants, and we had a lot of discussion about the community events grants, which is, I think, fairly normal. I think one of the problems, or maybe it's a positive thing, is that we're continuing to draw more and more applications each year, and that brought up a discussion about really needing to revisit the criteria. There's been an evolution of how the community events grant has, you know, its focus initially a decade ago is very different now today. I think we talked at the committee about it used to have a lot more emphasis on tourism and generating bed tax dollars and overnights, and over time, you know, there are only so many events that have that kind of emphasis. And what we found is that there's far more community events. So we've kind of had this evolution of a lot more community events and being an emphasis. And so now we're kind of the victims of our own success, and there's a lot less money to go around. So we actually have 75 awards. There were 78 applications. And, you know, so that is a resolution in front of all of us today. And we're hoping to have a more detailed conversation about the criteria for 2027 and really figure out, you know, how can we improve upon it. And Representative McCarty has shared a lot of feedback, and I don't know if he's going to make any comments today, not to take that opportunity away from him. I'm sure he will, but I think that he's made some very good points about some of our longstanding tourism-driven events that, you know, do definitely have an impact in terms of generating bed tax dollars. That, you know, is there a way that maybe of kind of creating some different levels within the community events grant programs to support tourism and support community events, and so and maybe better, you know, maybe some additional funding for some of these important tourism events that we have in Otsego County. So there's a lot more to discuss. I think one of our other hopes is to try to allocate more money to the community events grant program, which was our intention for this year, but we had to cut that as a part of the budget process last year. So So anyway, you'll see that in front of you today. 75 awards. The average award is $800. Pretty much every 74 organizations are getting $800 and one is getting 600 because they did not ask for more. So, and then the other thing I would just highlight for IGA is, we did pass a resolution and it's on the agenda today for Fair Housing Month. And, I think that's all I would highlight at this point.
So what do you want me to say?
I mean, we've heard it in IGA and in admin, but here we are in the full board. So the full board hasn't heard it. So I think whatever you'd like to share.
Well, I've been thinking about it. I think it's great you're gonna go over the criteria, but my other suggestion is take that, whatever amount of money's in there and split that among the 14 board members. They know their community better than anybody. And show the events to them and then let them figure out what's really legit to get this money. I mean, some of those things, applications, I don't see where they're bringing any tourists in. And I do feel that some of these events are taking $800 and they're not doing $800 worth of advertising. They're kind of pocketing the money, I should say that. But anyway, I think it's, if each rep say, okay, you got $4,000, you take the events that are in your area and figure out where you want to put that. That's my 2 cents.
And I would also push back on that maybe giving individual reps that kind of power is not a great idea.
Well, you don't know till you try.
I have some,
Well,
I think I can take this one out.
Yeah, this is why we're gonna have the committee do the work.
Well, I mean, you go do that, but then you go back to the meeting and say, this is what I came up with, at least some of these people, the events that I may have, you may not ever know about.
True, but I think we need to look at the process, that's what I'm saying.
I think there's variations to that theory, that thought process that you could do.
Yeah.
Like the local rep signs off on it.
Or something.
Or you also have the ability at the local, if you went with what Keith is saying, let's say I had $4,000, for example. I'll need $4,000.
You could give them with
Then
it.
I transfer it.
Well, it's the same thing, like, say you had the city, got 4 reps, 3 reps, you got $12,000. Well, if there's nothing going on in your area, maybe you could give it to somebody in the other, in the city.
Or we could, I'll give it to somebody in your area. if
No,
you-
I don't want to.
You will, yeah.
I'm just saying that this should be looked at, we will go through it, it will,
You hope that doesn't happen. That can
no,
happen.
you hope that doesn't happen, but I would say I personally, I just say.
Well, it would definitely be difficult for the city,
It
reps,
would.
right, because like District 8, which is downtown, is gonna have a lot more events.
Right.
Than the
Right.
other ones, so
Yeah.
it's like, if that was to happen, like maybe.
So maybe all the
city
city
could
reps get
talk
together and just have a big fist fight to see who gets.
Well, can I-
I like to go,
Well, why don't you start
I like
this
to go
one?
for a committee.
One at a time, one at a time, so we can, on that's a good point. That was when Keith brought that up, the disparity among even the districts. I mean, I'm not sure that Unadilla has as many as Cooperstown. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
I mean, but what Representative Wilbur spoke about is, having them approve or something, might be something, but that's where IGA has quite a task in hand by viewing the criteria of awarding the money out. And I believe that we should be able to add some funding to that this coming year, I believe.
Yeah, I would just add to that, I don't want it to turn into something where it's like, how people show up at ribbon cuttings as if they've, allocated the money personally. And I do think like having a process of review is great and the individual town saying like, yeah, this isn't really a real thing. And, being able to take that back to the committee, making the decision, but I would never want us to be in the position of being like, why didn't you bring this money to Middlefield instead of, it going to, Oneonta? And believe me.
You're gonna get that no matter what you do.
Exactly, but if we don't, I think the more we insert ourselves individually in the process, the more likelihood there is of that. And I think it's possible the opposite ends up happening. People feel compelled to fund something that isn't as much a priority to show that they're bringing money back to their own community. So I would just say you know, as long as there's a process of review, I would feel comfortable with the committee making decisions.
One of the things is, I don't wanna lose something that's really popular and been good for the community. And what it costs to do these things now, and you get people to donate, it's, the money's not there. And eventually it's all gonna have to be cut back. I mean, I'll give you an example of Springfield and 4th of July. It cost them $15,000 to do fireworks at State Park. You know, that isn't counting, they have to buy porta johns to put in the state park, you know, and then that money's all raised by local donations, and they're not terrific anymore, you know, and $800 is not amounting to much, you know, and I can see still having a parade, they still have a good parade, but to have the fireworks and the dance down the state park that brings in 11,000 people, the state park said they're from all over, so I just don't wanna, I want it to stay, but I don't want, you know, say, okay, well, all we can afford this year is to do the parade. That's my opinion.
That's the disparity I'm talking about. You had that one that's getting $800, and then what we're doing in Unadilla on Flag Day gets money too. And I'm not sure that they should all be treated equally by giving them all the same money. They're being treated equally, which is good and bad. You're treating, but should they be treated equally? I think that's where IGA has some thought to look at. So someone else had a hand up. I'm sorry, Jim.
So there's been talk of a music festival in Gilbertsville. So who do I tell that person to talk to?
For funding, you mean?
Yes.
They unfortunately missed the opportunity.
Just that, the I certainly explain it for this.
But for next year.
Next month.
Sorry.
So when they fill out these grants, do they have a statement as to how it,
There's an application.
there's an application, so do you rate those statements like on a scale of 1 to 5, how much it really does bring in tourism, how much,
No.
how 11,000 people show up to this event, or is it 60
Right, no, that,
locals?
all those elements have been dropped over the years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're, that information 10 years ago was definitely more emphasized, but it's evolved over time. Yeah, and at one point there was even a split between tourism and community events and trying to kind of find a balance, and now it's just kind of the way the criteria are and just the process, it's hard for us to say this community event and measure it against a tourism event, because they're, the majority are community events, most of them now, 78 applications. So our, the number of tourism like that are generating overnights, it's a small percentage. So
Well, it makes sense to
You
Fix
need
that-
you
fix
need
up
to
that
kind of go
process.
back to that.
Yeah. back to the beginning.
yeah, and that's, the committee definitely is going to be talking about the criteria for next year and figuring this out. I mean, we also have another small amount of money coming through this facilitate process with our 250th what committee? I forget what are we calling it?
Yeah.
Celebration
Yeah.
commission.
Yeah.
And that, and I think that, I forget the amount, 15,000, something like that. And so, there's a one-time funding source that has that application officially gone out now?
We are gonna approve, at admin, we approve, still have.
Have it go out. Yeah. So that was, just another thing as we're talking about funding. That's another opportunity that is being facilitated by that committee, and I think meant to support more 250th related events, celebration events, but it's there's a huge demand and unfortunately limited resources. So.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Thank you, and good luck to your committee.
Thanks.
Is the next meeting on the fourth?
Oh, yeah, so I mean, we actually meet next week on the 7th
Oh, okay.
at 1:00. So yeah, we're always that the week after our board meeting on the first Tuesday. Or whatever that date is.
It is Tuesday at 1 PM, right?
Yep, 1 p.m. on the 7th. And for that meeting, actually, I think we have a variety of things we're trying to work on. One, I think we are going to be talking about the 250th. We have, I think, Michelle Payton coming and Cass Harrington from Destination Marketing to talk about kind of the 250th, how we're trying to support local events and some of the efforts of our commission. And then I think we're also talking about I think we'll touch briefly on the comprehensive planning with Tammy, and then I'll talk later on PRGS, but we're going to start the department head evaluation process. And I just make sure that we're all working on that, and I'll talk about that later.
Thank you. Human Services, Representative Martini.
Thank you, Chairman Fraser. We met on March 10th. Our next meeting, the FEDGET, is on April 7th at 9 a.m. So come for Human Services, stay. Gee, I think it's good for lunch. First up was Commissioner Winnie to declare a lot of things, but I'm going to hit the highlights. You might have noticed when you came in that they were putting in the blue pinwheels in like the front little planting areas. That is to highlight Child Abuse Prevention Month, which April is. So take a moment and reflect on that. Some personnel updates. The department has had 8 total new hires. However, there are also 4 or 5 new vacancies. So, slowly but surely trying to get up to staff. Monthly stats. The OFL shelter housed 4 families. Motel 88 was utilizing 16 rooms. And remember that this was the meeting at the very beginning of March. So this is reflecting February's numbers. Crossroads was housing 22 individuals. East Green Motel had 5 rooms occupied. Agency housing, all 10 were occupied. And the Herkimer Budget Inn 2 rooms were occupied. In the time period we're talking about, for OPD, there had been 4 emergency calls. One of them involved a code blue housed individual. Then community services, Director Douglas was in. The big thing was requesting a contract for a pediatric nurse practitioner, without which it's really very challenging for that department to do their work.
You mean psychiatric?
What am I gonna say?
Pediatric.
I meant psychiatric. Sorry. In my little note, it just says PNPS. Did my best. Then, representative from the city of Oneonta, Elaine Mosier-Campoli, came in to talk a little bit about the ad hoc committee that the city is pulling together. And it's a committee on homelessness. So, trying to get something rolling. Kind of start chipping away further at that problem. Heidi Bond, director of the Department of Health, was then in. Apparently, this has been quite a year for the flu, both types A and B, although they're now seeing more B. They've scheduled 9 rabies clinics for 2026, and I am fairly certain those are on the Department of Health's website, and they're all throughout the community. Ticks are now, they're out, so good luck. And there was a brief discussion, the coroners have been, and we've been talking about this, the coroners used to be under the county clerk's office, that is not ideal for a number of different reasons. I can go into them.
Clerk of the board.
Clerk of the board,
Okay.
doing my best there. Clerk of the board.
She was surprised.
No, I was just gonna say
County
Carol's
clerk didn't
office.
know it.
And then I was like, well, it's not really Carol, it's office, anyway. They are now, kind of housed within the Department of Health, which means that their records we will be able to secure them. It's just a better fit. And that way too, the Department of Health can kind of collect more data on what is actually causing deaths in the community. So, that committee meeting generated resolutions 185, 190, 194, and 202. There are questions? I'll do my best to answer them, although my track record apparently today it's not great. So,
Any questions for the chair today? Hearing none. Public safety and legal affairs, Representative Wilburn.
Thank you, Chairman Fraser. I believe we're meeting again on the 23rd, is that correct? No,
16.
16th?
1 o'clock.
Oh, that's what I meant to say, the 16th, 23rd is. We're meeting on the 16th at 1 p.m. this week.
23rd Avenue.
Yes,
Okay.
confused.
wait, yes, away. It's on the 16th.
16.
PSLA will be on the 16th, yes. I got it. So,
Just keep me.
okay, we had a full board. We met on the 12th of March here. And first on the agenda was Sheriff Devlin and Under Sheriff Ellison. Requested approval to amend 2 resolutions that dealt with inmate food and also for billing for equipment from Gauls. We approved that. Also approved a request to pay fees to the SPCA for regarding animal cruelty investigations that occurred in 2025. Requested approval to hire deputy sheriffs to attend 2 new hires, I'm sorry, 3 new hires as deputy sheriffs to attend training. We approved that. Approved the purchase of equipment. It's approved. Requested approval to purchase some software. There will be an improvement for body cameras. We had a discussion of apparently there was a lapse in pest control in the public safety building, and we approved for the sheriff to go forward in conjunction with the county administrator to have that taken care of. Pest in a facility like that is not a good thing. Emergency services was up next. And Mr. Jones informed the committee that the induction weekend kickoff meeting is starting. Also requested approval for Deputy Fire Coordinator Neski to go to training, approve that. Requested approval to purchase additional equipment. We approved that. He informed the committee that Senate Bill S7501A will pass on March 4th, and that has to deal, I'm trying to remember what that has to deal with. I believe it's an emergency service plan. We're going to figure out how his office is going to handle that because of the staffing that's going to require. It's quite extensive. So that will be, stay tuned for that. The annual burn ban is March 16th through May 14th, so it is in effect. Inform the committee that the training center electricity and energy costs are higher than they budgeted for. Surprise. He also followed up from his February request, requesting an increase in the annual stipend or salary, whatever you want to call it, for the deputy fire coordinators. We again postponed it a month. We are waiting for a briefing and information from the county administrator. We'll look at that more thoroughly. Nobody, I don't think anybody agrees with the need for that, but you have to find money somewhere. Stated that, a long-time employee in the department is retiring after 23 and a half years. Was informed, also that 2 employees at the Meadows were in their offices during an unplanned, fire alarm activation. And they did not hear the alarm. So we are looking at that, why that occurred. And we're also looking at another program, through New York State DMV, the Lens program, which notifies us if any of our drivers have significant, traffic issues that we should, such as no license or something. Next on the list was Dan Norton requesting approval to extend the security contract that we have with S&T Security. We're still working on getting new proposals for security contract, so we approved that, and that's going to carry through until June 30th. Mr. O'Brien was up next. Requested approval to accept a new grant approval in the amount of $689,655. We said yes. He requested approval to order a replacement vehicle. We'll approve that. We also approved a renewal contract with JPG Communications. That's for all the radio maintenance issues. Requested approval to award the Butternuts Tower Site Development Contract to a company. We approved that. Next up was Public Defender Susan Lettuce. We approved her request to contract with a clinical social worker. I believe that's all grant funded. We approved some purchase orders. Approved training request for some attorneys. We were also awarded a grant for $292,000 called modernization grant. We approved the approval of the ACP coordinator position, which is for the Title 18 office. The state is pushing that. They really want that, so paying for it, so we approved it. Requested approval of an MOU with Legal Services of Central New York. We approved that. Advisors that we can use credit card purchases. We went into executive session to discuss medical financial status of an individual employee. And we came out, we approved a request to fund a temporary part-time public defender position. Then we went into open session, and Representative Delant had initiated a lengthy discussion on how the county defines contracts, and it was based around the 287G agreement with the sheriff's office. And we had, I don't know, probably 45-minute discussion on that. And that was the end of the meeting.
Thank you. Any questions from the chair today?
I have one.
Sir?
The road department, was building services made aware of it?
I'm not sure that it was a problem, and somehow it slipped through the budget process, and there was no funds to address that. And it was on the chopping list of a lot of areas in the budget process. And my memory is that the sheriff's office was going to be exempt from that because of obvious reasons. And something happened when it did not get through. And, so we're looking, and it's not to exceed $200 a month, so it's.
That's $2,500 a year. I mean, part of that.
Let me
As,
calculate.
well, I'm just saying as part of building services, I would think they would be made aware of even to set traps or do something. I mean, that's, I'm just,
It's not, first of all, you have to have a license to do that if you're in a commercial setting. That's number one. So I don't believe that. Our bill of services. Secondly, look it up.
well, I'm just saying,
I'm answering your question. Secondly,
I'm just amazed because I don't see why you need a license to set a trap.
secondly, in a correctional facility, it's New York. What do you want me to tell you?
That's spend money.
In a correctional facility, it's not something you want to play around.
The issue's been addressed.
Yes.
It's been addressed.
Yes.
so.
Well, what do they do? Go in and spray it? What's,
I don't have a license. I'll leave that.
My understanding is the sheriff said, Tim, how come we aren't having these taken care of? Tim said it was cut out of the budget. So then it came back to get money to put it back in the budget. So
so it's just for that building and not all the other ones?
I'm
We
under
also
the
have
impression
food
that we
service.
have some pest control problems. I thought it was me in my office the other day about the fruit flies, and then Carol says, no, we have a problem, so, and I believe that, so there's gonna be further conversations on the rest of the buildings, so.
And also you have a food kitchen in that.
Well, we also got people that do that, are getting paid to work in that kitchen. You'd have think they would have come up with central kitchen people, whoever's doing the meals would say, okay, well, we got something around here. But I mean, I just never,
What needs to leave here is it's been taken care of, and we are
Right.
addressing it, so, I mean, they have been hired, they've been in the buildings, so. On the fire alarm, I know that they spoke about it, they went around and did a decibel test on the alarms.
Yep.
And I think that one or two rooms down there, my understanding was gonna be easier to put the flashing lights in there than extend the strobes in. So, I mean, they are addressing that issue too.
Yes.
Whether it's complete yet, I couldn't tell you, but I
So
know,
I answered that because I just got back from being away. I
okay,
answered that email to Victor and I also forwarded it on to Keith. There. Be Bob in there. And I have a note here from Victor. I'm going to follow up with him after the meeting
okay,
to make sure that's been addressed. My understanding was at least one of those employees has an impairment of some sort.
well, that's why the strobes.
Right, yeah,
So they can't hear the flashing light,
Correct.
so
I'll follow up on that.
we did some housing like that before, and we even had in their beds. It shook the beds when the alarm went off at night if they were sleeping, if they were dead.
Right.
So,
Right.
there's all kinds of ways to conquer that.
I just wanted to speak for the record. I thought we kept that pest control in the budget, so if somehow,
I did too, but
okay, I just wanted everyone who's listening to know that if a mistake got made in the budget behind after what we approved, but to my memory, we approved to have
yes,
that.
I agree with
in the
that, but
budget.
I'm not.
So I just wanted to say that,
It's too far back. I know it was a big discussion.
but I think we all agreed that it was not.
Yes.
tough.
I can't imagine myself agreeing to cutting out pest control in a correctional facility. And a food service facility.
Any further questions? Eamon?
I have a question just about one of the resolutions about purchasing these meridian barriers.
Yes.
What, do we do a lot of security at mass gatherings?
Yes.
Which, can you give me the
Yeah.
gatherings so I just have an idea?
So, for example,
Say that, sorry.
the Hall of Fame weekend, the induction.
Okay.
And various other events that are centered around that, a lot of tourist events.
Okay.
So, it's a good question. So, if you remember, the Mardi Gras parade a few years ago, and a couple of years ago, and
Not here though.
not here,
One in New Orleans, yes.
but they had those and they didn't deploy them. They're very effective and they're easily put in place. Takes away the need for example, a county highway truck full of sand blocking off the
Sure.
street.
I was trying to figure out which gatherings get county.
Anyone that asks for them.
So is it by request or is there a certain like
Well,
size of a
we're actually-
gathering?
it's good. That's a very good question. We're actually looking at that. For example, you got the county there. Be a good location.
Yep.
Any place that a vehicle ramming could occur.
Okay.
In today's environment.
They're also at the Fourth of July parade.
That's another good look. Anytime you have a mass gathering.
Sure.
That you would want to take measures to protect that mass gathering.
Where are these barriers going to be stored?
Down the public safety area. Now, what we could not afford this year was, I'm trying to be sensitive with security. What we could not, afford this year was some additional trailer fees. So we're gonna look at that next year. So they're very heavy, so they come in on a trailer and there's mechanisms to deploy them. We're gonna look at the purchase of a trailer in the next budget cycle for these barriers that we are purchasing now.
Okay.
So that they don't have to come back with a trailer, reload these and
They
back.
could live in the barns that we might be getting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, they're just heavy metal barriers.
Thank you.
Any further questions for the chair? Hearing none, solid waste and environmental concerns, Representative Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We met with Cornell Cooperative Extension. Went through their program, was very, very good. And Tammy Harris came and we talked about all they're doing down there. We had talks about the farmland protection, the agricultural district 8-year review and open enrollment process. We were supposed to vote on that today, but we have to put that off another month because things aren't quite all aligned, but they have that lined up to do. We had a user fee correction for $40. Then we, Tammy requested approval to, extend the contract for the hazardous mitigation plan because they don't have time to get all their work done. So there's no cost. We just have to extend the contract. Then Kyle King gave his MSW C&D report for the month. Then we had a report from Representative Kenny on soil and water. We do and I was telling Representative Case, this looks simple here. There's, a little paragraph here, but it takes a long time to get through this. We have a lot to discuss down there.
Yes.
So, we did the following. We had the tree sale. And we're finalizing closing out a very large ag and markets grant. That's a manure storage facility over in New Lisbon. That's a big one. We talked about the tree sale. The town of Pittsfield and the town of Springfield are awarded salt sheds, and I know the town of Pittsfield is working on their process for longer. They reviewed and signed the landowner contract for the Mars Dam removal project. What's that dam over in Morris? And talked about the 10 awards for the mini grant program, which is very popular, and I would not be a bit surprised if that would. I don't know if it's all filled up or not, but I know a lot of people are interested in it. It's just $1,000 to do little environmental projects. We got a brief update on the progress with the snowmobile letter. They're working on that. Kevin is working with some snowmobile clubs to see where we're going to go with that. When the concern is snowmobiling versus hunting and what the state wants to do with that. To give a brief update on the 2025 household hazardous waste grant. And Kyle gave an update on the 2025 textiles report. And the recycling grant. Then we came up to the land bank fee determination. And I'm not sure exactly what we're doing on this, but land bank owns the property is not receiving any rents or fees, and you can read that for yourself, I guess. And the progress with Delta Southern Transfer Station, which is gonna have a presentation at our next solid waste meeting. And then we talked about the most leachate. Where we're gonna go with that. Then we come to the main event.
Which was skip over, right?
That was the 12-year-old hunting. That was I will note that was a bipartisan vote on one side there. So that's, you don't see that often here. So I haven't seen it often here 30-some years, but it was that day. And that turns out to, it was not Otsego County, it was Oswego County, I guess. So it was not even
Yes.
for us, but we did,
We did get to say our piece.
yes, we did. On all sides.
Did you scold DEC for that?
It was mentioned.
Okay. If there's any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Like there, you don't get to vote on Christmas.
Any questions for the chair? Thank you. Hearing none, administration, Kennedy.
Thank you, Chairman Fraser. We met on March 19th at 9 a.m. and our next meeting is April 23rd at 9 a.m. We did also declare April as Child Abuse Prevention Month on behalf of the Department of Social Services, and I did not notice the pinwheels when I came in, but I think I may have come in before they were there. Community Services, we did approve the contract for that personnel. We also had the sheriff present some resolutions to be amended. The resolution to pay out the jail food for 2025. We also approved to pay the fees to SPCA for 2025 and also approved the training for the new hire deputies. We approved a software purchase and also the allocation of the Stop DWI funds to the SAD run, which we do every year. For highway, we also approved the application of payments for the Roadway Departure Safety Action Plan Program, which is the new guide rail replacement, which was referenced earlier in Representative McCarty's report. It's a very, it's federal money, I think, that is paying to put in new guide rails, like only in key identified spots. So they'll be working on that this season. We also approved the contract for engineering that also go along with that program. And we also approved the resolution to hire above base pay with approval and to procure the materials for the bridges and striping, and the timber sale bid was also awarded through admin. The county administrator did present his budget presentation on maintaining fiscal stability, and he had a handout that we looked at. And the main outset, the focus of this is to create a 5-year plan towards structural balance, which is something we've been talking about for a number of years, and there's graphs in there that show you how the amount of fund balance that we're counting on is getting bigger each year, and we don't want to reach the point where that's not able to cover the gap in our expenditures and revenues. So I think I may have said that wrong. I think I said that right, but it took a while to get there on what I was looking at on the graphs. So they are available for people to look at, and there'll be more to come on this as we head into our budget for 2027. Department of Health, we also approved, as Representative Martini mentioned, the resolution to refund the position. Probation, we did extend the security contract while the RFP is out until the end of June. Planning, we also approved the allocation to Cornell Cooperative for their allocation plus the food systems specialist piece, and extended Tetra Tech's work on the hazard mitigation plan at no cost through the end of the year to accommodate for significant delays that they're foreseeing as we finish up that. And I know that not every municipality had participated, but check with Tammy if you think maybe one of the board didn't. But I think we're finally getting towards everyone having put their information into the hazard mitigation plan. E911, we approved for the new vehicle and the contract for maintenance and support of the 2026 radio work. And awarded the site development contract for the Butternut site. Then county administrator came back in another free moment, and we talked about the America 250, and we accepted the $15,000 award from New York State, which we hope to distribute out into different communities who asked. It's 15,000, and Tammy said we have 34 municipalities, so that's even less than $800 each if you do the math quick. Hopefully, though, we will be able to support some activities as people get more excited about the America 250 getting more towards the 4th of July. And as a side note, we had some discussion on what would be the clearinghouse for America 250 events and things going on all around the county. And that is our Destination Marketing Corporation. So it will be, that's where if you have an event, they'll list it and we will list it for free. So hopefully you'll get a lot of events up there and have a mark the 250th Sesquicentennial. Is that everybody? And where are we here? Oh, county attorney. Oh, community events grants. We also approved the 800 each plus the 600. And discussed the concept of how to kind of rechannel some of those applications to make more significant awards possible. And maybe not allow everything. But I do want to note that one of the things that we had implemented and were quite strict about last year and this year were the post-event reports. And we did get almost 100% compliance on getting a report back in. Maybe not within the 90 days, but we did get them, which was good to know. County attorney is reviewing the social media policy. And we did approve a transfer and kind of a realignment in the workers' compensation budget that the county attorney does oversee. And then we also voted to sign opioid settlement funds more coming into the county. And health defender, we also created that funded and filled along with PSLA, that part-time assistant public defender temporary. And I do have other things, but I think that when we do reports of other communities, it would be a good time to mention some of these other things. So, does anyone have any questions?
I have really little annoying question, but in the purchase of the Tahoe, it says that the maintenance package will be determined by department head and the health and education committee. It's just weird. I don't know what a health and
Oh, it's
We
an
don't
old
have that
committee that we
committee
don't have.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
I
definitely
wonder why
a
they
typo.
maintain cars.
Yeah,
Is it a medical vehicle?
yeah, it's for,
Yeah, it shouldn't even be.
it's E911.
Oh, so, yeah, I don't know, that's it.
Mhm.
I don't know why that's in there.
Okay.
But even if it was a medical
Yeah, that would
vehicle,
need
that's all subject to department heads. And
I think we just updated our old resolution template and
Oh.
please scout over this so that we can get updated to the correct
there
committee.
you go. We don't need to
Yeah.
amend that, do we?
That could be changed to PSLA committee. We can pull that and have it changed to PSLA.
So, pull it for those.
Yeah,
Yes, it's in the,
So why can't we, if we pull it, why can't we just amend it right here?
yes,
Oh,
that's what I
I
mean.
thought you said.
Change the
PSLA.
language.
No, and then change the language to include the PSLA
Got it.
instead of the health and.
Misunderstood. So which number is the?
180.
180.
Pull it.
Thank you for noticing that.
Yes.
Any other questions from the chair? Sir?
Not really a question, but a statement. I just wanted to bring it to light. We discussed, in conjunction with the 250 committee and everything else, we lost our volunteer historian. And I think we're in the process of finding a new one if we haven't already. But I just throw the thought out there, the thought of having a part-time county historian. Because this county it's just rich with history. There's a lot of people, tourism that comes that have a lot of interest in history. And if we could move towards tying that in, which some of it already is, and with destination marketing, marking these sites and having some type of a map where people can go and see these sites and the significance of these sites, I think it would be an overall benefit to our tourism.
Can I just add to that? I think also, I've been in other communities, totally agree with that, where those part-time historians are leading tours for tourists and charging money for those tours. And we have, rich literary history, we have a rich Civil War history,
Absolutely.
we have a rich founding of the country history. And I think that is a role that could be designed to pay for itself more or less by generating revenue around historical sites that
So you're talking about funding one?
Yes,
Okay, that's right.
yes.
Because we do it, our historian is part-time, but you're talking funding. Funding
Actual
of position.
funding,
And there might be some grant.
Right. maybe through SHPA. But I think it's just something worth looking at.
Yeah.
Because I think we're missing a lot. And, I've lived here 20 some odd years, and every once in a while, I didn't know that was there.
Thank you.
So do we want to do that, pull that resolution just now, prior to the full
Which one for the vehicle?
We can-
180?
That's
We'll
what,
ask.
right.
We'll ask if anybody wants to pull it from consent.
Oh, okay, right. We'll do it then, okay.
Any other questions from the fish? Hearing on special committee negotiations, Representative McCarty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We are going to meet as of now, I guess. I haven't heard anything different. April 9th at 12:30 at the Meadows Building classroom. Anyone's welcome to attend if they'd like.
That's with the corrections unit, correct?
Yes.
Any questions? Hearing on performance review and goal setting, technology and strategic planning, Representative Marietta.
Yes, thanks. So I'll just try to hit the high points very quickly. First on technology and strategic planning. First of all, I'm gonna share my screen twice here. I just wanted to remind everyone, first of all, that the first piece of the first reminder is for our constituents, just regarding accessing our county strategic plan, and the second reminder is going to be for us. But we discussed this at TSP, just about refresher for all of us on accessing Clear Plan, and I think it's just as important to anyone else in the general public. We have this platform, Clear Plan, and now anyone can access our strategic plan. They just go to our homepage and just click on this bottom slider, and they will be brought to this page, and they can actually click on this link that brings them to the interface, the Clear Gov software platform, and then Clear Plan is their specific module that we're using. And so then they can load our strategic plan, which is live and always reflecting any updates our department heads are making. So that's the first thing I want to mention quickly. So I'm just going to stop sharing that. And that kind of goes to the recap of our strategic planning meeting. We talked about the updates that our department heads have made in closing out quarterly updates for 2025. I can't emphasize enough, just thanking our department heads for their work and providing those quarterly updates. And, this is obviously our first full year going through that in 2025. That information is really important for a variety, of ways, especially for us as reps, understanding, the progress and the impact that our departments are making, but even more so for our constituents here in Otsego County. And I think there's a lot of transparency that's provided through Clear Plan now that it's not that we couldn't provide it, but now it's immediately accessible and it's reflecting all the hard work and efforts our department heads are making, as well as how tax dollars are being spent. So I can't emphasize enough that this isn't possible without the work our department heads are doing. So part of that also is our responsibility for county reps and looking at Clear Plan and referencing it, trying to promote it, and just getting the word out. The more we're using it, the more the general public is using it. I think that, that only emphasizes and supports the important, the work that the departments are doing to kind of keep this ever evolving and relevant. So we talked briefly at TSP about, I'm just going to share my screen one more time, about just reminding everybody about logging into Clear Plan. Oh, sorry, hold on a second. There was, I think earlier in the spring here, there was a slight kind of snafu where the county administrator's office had to make some updates for our access, and that's all been addressed now. So everyone should be able to log in and access the new strategic plan document. So I'm just going to show everybody quickly. You're going to go to cleargov.com. That's for all of us as reps. You all got invites. We all have usernames and passwords for the new reps. You'll be prompted to set up your new password when you first log in. But it's very simple. We're just logging in into the platform, and then you're going to see your dashboard. And then on the dashboard, you'll see the most recent viewed documents. You'll see, for me, it's both the strategic planning documents, but there's on the menu on the left here, you can see all the different tabs we have access to. We have access to the approved budgets, documents. We have access to the capital budgeting documents that we've worked on over time. And then you'll find under strategic plan, you'll find the two strategic planning documents. 2025 is the bottom one here, and 2026 is the other document. And general public is going to see a little bit different information than we will, but it's very similar. And so for us, we can go in here and see all the departments. They have a lot of great tools that are reflecting the information that our department heads have entered, all the strategic planning information that's in here from our plan that we developed and approved, and then the quarterly updates that the department heads are doing each quarter. So we're into 2026 now. So we're wanting to emphasize to all the department heads and have our committees emphasize to the department heads that we're hopefully going to be working on getting Q1 updates into Clear Plan. And so we can drill down on any of these departments and kind of see their progress in making those quarterly updates. And so, not to spend a lot of time other than just this brief reminder to everybody, we really, the more we're using it, the more we're referencing in our committees, the more value, the more we're going to get out of our strategic planning document. So the other quick thing I just mentioned about TSP is that there's a lot of discussion going on about current service level. And, I think it's a part of the budget process, or part of the budget, the 2026 budget process that we carried out last year. Was introduced. There's still a lot of work yet to be done to refine what current service levels are, to give written guidance, examples, not only to us, but to our department heads. And so I think TSP will be in that discussion. One kind kind of disconnect with our strategic plan is current service level is not reflected in that clear plan document right now as we see it. And that is an issue that needs to be addressed. And so we're going to be trying to figure that out. Where does current service level fit in terms of the priority outcomes and the essential activities that are reflected in that plan right now? I will say that, you know, there is some confusion right now in just better defining and understanding what current service levels are. And so that really needs time and attention. So, so TSP, that is my quick recap. The next meeting will be on April 28th at 9 a.m. And any questions on TSP before I move into PRGS quickly? Everyone good? Okay. So PRGS, you know, a couple of things. You know, one is that as everyone remembers, that PRGS, one of the main functions was the department head evaluation process. That now is officially being implemented this year. PRGS has been replaced by the county administrator. And so that process is rolling out. There's 3 forms, the self-evaluation for department head, the committee evaluation for a department head, and then a new strategic planning form that the county administrator completes. I want to just remind our committees that department heads have been scheduled for their department head evaluations. And it's up to us, especially committee chairs, to make sure we get our department heads obviously to do their self-evaluations. I'm sure they're on top of that, but it's more for us in the committees to complete the evaluations of our department heads. And as everyone remembers, these come up very quickly. So we Steve did send that schedule out to all of us and the department heads. So I would just encourage all of us to look ahead. IGA, we're going to be working on our 2 department head evaluations next week in executive session, you know, just in advance of their actual scheduled evaluations with the county administrator and myself as the chair in May. You know, so it's as we know, it takes, you know, a little bit of time for us to work through this process. So I just want to remind all of us, because it'll come up quickly, and we always are trying to figure out when to get those committee evaluations done for our department heads. And I know, you know, our hope is for PRGS. The hope is always that, you know, the committees are completing those department evaluations as a committee, you know, rather than just the committee chair. You know, so I think we've done a good job in doing that, and hopefully, you know, we just want to continue that good work. The other thing I'll just mention is that this strategic planning evaluation form that the county administrator is carrying out, this is a new form, and this message is more for our department heads. It's a work in progress. I think there is some further discussion about what that evaluation really should focus on from a strategic planning perspective. And, you know, I think we've heard some feedback from a couple of departments who are early in the process of seeing this form. And, you know, I'll just say that, you know, we're going to work on making this better. So I'll just leave it at that. So it's a work in progress. And, you know, I think the goal was to bring in the strategic plan, the work that our department heads are doing with their quarterly updates, and just make sure that becomes a part of the discussion for their evaluation. You know, and I think if department heads are doing that, that is, you know, we should be thanking them. And that is, you know, a big part of evaluating them from their commitment and engagement with the strategic plan. I think the county administrator is hoping to bring the current service level piece into that at some point. That, you know, needs more discussion and, you know, more kind of refinement before we make that step. So, you know, so PRGS is, I think, going to talk more about that at our April 28th meeting. And we'll be having some more conversations and, you know, just about that piece of it with the county administrator, and just making sure that, you know, that we make this a successful evaluation effort this year, and you know, try to take feedback and adapt as needed. So the other piece you'll see in the minutes for PRGS is that there was a lot of discussion around this recognition that there's no real time and attendance system for the county. Right now, it's a paper system. Each department handles it individually. And so the idea was brought up of possibly taking advantage of Munis and a module that Munis provides called time and attendance. And so we had a great discussion at PRGS about that, and the department heads who attended, Isaiah from Information Services, we had Andrew Chrisman from Treasurer's Office. Penny couldn't attend, but I think there's agreement, amongst department heads, even those, some of the committee members reached out, some of our other department heads, that there's a real opportunity to save a lot of time by integrating a software-based time and attendance system for vacation, sick time, time tracking. The more we've talked about it, the more it seems that there's a lot of redundancy there using Excel spreadsheets. The more we talked about it, the more interesting it got. So I think we're really looking into this. Unfortunately, bad news is that we don't have that module from Munis, and there's an upfront cost of $36,900, and then an annual fee of $19,668. So, we feel like the time savings would probably justify the investment, but that is yet to be determined. And so this is a bigger picture discussion. It's a budget discussion. It's an admin discussion. But I think PRGS is hoping to move forward on some of these opportunities that we haven't been able to focus on in the past. And so more to come.
Can I just add one thing to that? I mean, when just Isaiah and Andrew were talking, it's days of their time to input what they get in on paper into the system, high possibility of mistakes since you're like manually having to redo everything. Sounds like a lot of time.
Thank you. Any questions, sir?
Definitely, I know that personnel spends a lot of time on these kind of things, and Penny's sometimes asking, oh, it's maybe another person, but if we could not, put it.
I mean, to me, it was even wild. It's like, I didn't know it, but the departments are keeping track on paper and Excel spreadsheets. Like, that's crazy.
Within a new person.
The software system, yes, that may be the argument, right?
Yeah.
But I think this is why we're talking about bringing, it's a personnel, treasurer, and information technology, that partnership, and they all, I think, see the potential. But Andrew Christmas said this, and Alan Ruffles also sent an email. You're talking about a 6-9 month rollout. I mean, there's a lot to come before any and obviously it's no commitment from a budgetary standpoint for this year, but this is the time for us to talk about it for 2027.
Well, if you're talking across the spectrum of all of our department heads, the amount of time that they're putting into manual and what they could be doing with that time if they didn't have to do that. It might also take some of the complaints here away from the department heads on tediousness of all the information they have to provide.
Anything else this morning? Hearing none. Are there any representatives that'd like to report on any of the boards or advisory boards or committees that they're on?
Yes.
Representative Kennedy.
So first of all, this destination marketing. Then we had been talking a little bit about what kind of outreach had been done for the American 50. And Cassandra did outreach to all the local historians in the town. And solicited information, and also offered they can help if they need to get their information onto a website. They can help do that. And also throughout the whole year, event partners is open year round. So if you have an event, you want to have it listed on the county event website, BMC will accept that year round. They do have a partner program that you have to pay to belong to. And that was had met 78% of the subscribers at the time of our meeting 2 weeks ago. So, that's, what we have for DMC. And I did just want to briefly mention, the NISAC board meeting, and the NISAC conference, legislative conference. This is the packet of legislative conference resolutions that got passed out of all the different committees. I also have the sign-up papers for anyone who would like to be recommended to work on a NISAC committee. So I picked up a couple of those while I was up at the conference, and I know they're in that bag somewhere, so I can find them if anyone would like to join a committee. I can get you that paper and then can submit it into NISAC. Other things we talked about, the 730s, there was a whole talk on that, with hopefully some help coming, but it was not as hopeful as you might want to know. We did do the economic development about Oneida County, presented on how they got ready to welcome Chobani into their county. A lot of pre-work was done to get the site ready and to have it be ready for them to come in. And then, of course, that's big for them. We talked about AI, we talked about data centers. I participated in an energy siting and farmland summit that was on Sunday afternoon, and Eamon, you were there as well. And we had a lot of good discussion on how to prioritize prime farmland in our county. Isn't quite in the same lineup with where the big power transmission lines are, combining with like farmland of statewide importance. So some counties are really looking at like 10% of their best land getting used up into these not data centers, but solar arrays. So just how to strike the right balance there and what can be done and how to, these two groups are the two different committees that are meeting and talking about it. And was it well worth the time that we spent with that discussion. And yeah, let me know if you want to join a committee.
I had one other thing from NISAC. The keynote was the guy who started StoryCorps. And he gave a really great talk about a subsidiary of StoryCorps, which is called One Small Step, to get folks with different political opinions, different backgrounds, talking to each other and facilitated conversations to kind of bridge some of what's been going on nationally in terms of the heated debates. And I'm actually going to participate in one on April 15th, but anybody who's interested, let me know. I'll get you the information. But it also got me thinking about how this is a lot of the work that they do at the Cooperstown Grad School, is they facilitate conversations like this with local people. And it might be something that we might want to think about doing, even something as part of the 250th, to get people from different backgrounds and different positions and different experiences talking to each other. And I would guess that Cooperstown Grad School might be interested in having some of their students facilitate that and record them as part of their program work. So anyway, I'll let you all know how it goes on the 15th. And if there's something I think is that we could replicate here locally, I'll let you know.
Good luck. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just point out that NISAC, I attended a session on short-term rentals, which was just mind-blowing. And it was in Ulster County. It was led by their manager. And basically it was just kind of, they had hired a firm to kind of data scrape and uncover the real market in their county. And they discovered that a quarter of the actual Airbnbs and Verbos were even reporting and had permits. And after the scraping, they're able to essentially now do something about it, but we're losing lots of tax dollars. to these sites. And it's, as I think the comp plan could address this, I think that could be part of our comp plan. I know in town of Oneonta, they're putting together a short-term use permit committee to talk about it. But it does have a huge impact on our housing stock, on our, number of beds in hotels, things like that. And so there was a lot there, and if you want to talk more about it, it was really fascinating, but Ulster County is getting millions and millions of dollars back.
10x what they thought.
Yeah, by just hiring this firm to come in and audit essentially the county. And it was really impressive. So we got the information for that company that does this data scraping, and it might be something we want to talk about going forward.
And I'm happy to have the treasurer talk about that at admin. It's a good starting point for it. And
Yeah.
we actually did discuss last year, like, did we want to hire a company to collect that data for us?
Okay.
And Alan was of the mind that, like, we do have a registry, so we didn't have to we didn't have to create a registry. So we already had one. So he was willing, and I and the committee agreed that, like, we would take a longer view, see what happened in that industry of, there were a lot of companies who were like, we'll collect all your short-term
Yeah.
data for you. So to see who emerges after a year of doing it, where might we be able to choose from if we want to go down that road. So,
Okay.
yeah, and it's Leslie and I were looking at the interactive map too. There's a lot out there. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Ulster County had used a different firm first. They weren't happy with that firm. They switched to the firm that Meg and I talked to, who found like it was much, much higher than the previous firm had told them. So I do think, like, to Meg's point, they're starting to sort of sort out who's doing this well.
So having been a born and raised Olson County resident and now a 20 some odd year Otsego County resident, I would be quite confident in betting, based on our attractions here, that we probably have a lot more than we do.
Mhm.
So.
And that's what they pointed out. We have the registry.
Right.
However, I think the numbers in Ulster County were like maybe 275 registered.
Right.
And after
Right.
the scraping, it was over 100. And these sites, and not to get too into the weeds,
Right.
but Airbnb and Vrbo don't actually release location information. So that way you can't actually determine and then go try to do any enforcement for these permits. And so it's kind of nefarious.
Yeah, they had 275, they had charted, it was over 2,000.
Over 2,000?
It was over
Oh, yeah.
2,000. Yeah.
And being in that business, and in that business, you interact with these people. I know there's a lot more out there than we see.
Anything else? To segue into the 730s.
Yeah.
I sat with the one conference where they had 3 or 4 of the directors of community services. And they spoke very well of all the problems from the state, how they don't cooperate with us. And one of the biggest ones that they spoke of is when they send someone to the state to be rehabilitated or restored. That was what and they're keeping them to a rehabilitation level instead of a restoration. There's a huge difference there. But when they do release them, they are not notifying the counties they're letting these people come back to. And they need the prescriptions, whatever, to stay on the meds. And that has to be at the local level. So there's a revolving door that they're getting back. So there's problems with that. And they spoke very well of the AOT that we had spoke of before, that maybe, and I think it was Madison County, the director spoke of how well hers was working out there. So I thought it was great. I also sat down with the Washington County chairman. Okay, and that's the county that is not paying the state. And I said, how do you? He said, we're keeping the money here, and if they pull money back from other things that we are providing, that we have some oversight over, we'll pay that out of pocket. He said, till they, because the state can withhold other funding from you if you don't pay. And he said, well, we'll pay it here. He said, we'll probably end up paying it, but he said, we're just threw her hand up, said, we need some involvement in the process or we're not paying. So,
You know, if every county did that,
no, I know. That's what he said too. So,
I think an advantage though is Washington County is relatively small, so then their budget is maybe a little easier to get your arms around and figure out where all that money is.
anyone else on any other committee?
Oh, just one last NISAC thing. The comptroller gave a talk on Wednesday morning and said that like yesterday is the day that he looks at how the stock market is doing, like how the investment world is going. And I heard that it was kind of trending down, but then late yesterday kind of trended back up again. So hopefully that will be good, and our contribution rates to the pension fund will not be excessive, because if it's bad, then we pay more. So it's something that he looks at the end of March every year. And our pension fund is fully funded, which is great, but it does have a cost to the counties. So hopefully the market continues to be strong.
Anyone else today? I had one other thing. During March, I sat down with both, Mayor Butterman, Supervisor Rivera, and President Cardai at SUNY Oneonta on how the county and those entities can collaborate more and bring stuff forward. One of the conversations I had with President Cardai was the Chancellor has authorized several of the state universities to pay some internships. So we are going to be looking at how we can get some paid internships here at the county through SUNY Oneonta. So that was promising. So anyone else on any other committees? That'll bring us to our county administrator report, and I am being told that we do not have one today, but we will have a more comprehensive report at our May meeting. Our administrator called me yesterday, said that he's probably going to be out of commission till the middle of next week, but he should be back on. Alan and I have spoken several times, and if there are things that are being held up in that department that I can help, facilitate, we're going to work on that. So, any questions on that report? Okay, good. We will need a motion to dispense with the reading of all reports and resolutions.
I move that we
Second.
dispense.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion's carried. Is there any representative wishing to remove a resolution from the consent agenda? We have 183 by McCarty, we have 180 by Wilbur. Any other needs to be removed? Hearing none. I need a call for action on the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Fraser,
Aye.
Powers,
Aye.
Brockway,
Aye.
Hinchey.
Yes.
Oh, absent. Kennedy.
Aye.
Mickle.
Aye.
Burley.
Aye.
Marietta.
Yes.
McCarty.
Aye.
Wilbur.
Aye.
Mendez, absent. Martini.
Aye.
Clapperton.
Aye.
Castillo.
Yes.
On the consent agenda, we have 84 ayes, no noes, 16 absent, no abstentions. The consent agenda.
Resolution 180, authorizing the county administrator or the chair of the board to enter into lease agreements for vehicles with Enterprise Fleet Management, Inc. Kennedy, McCarty, Wilbur, Martini, Marietta, Powers.
So on that, we just,
Need a second there.
sorry.
Second.
Okay.
McCarty can.
Second.
So on that one, looking for the wording.
It's over on the other page. Yeah, second to left or third to left revolved.
Oh, yeah.
Just request that the, will be determined by the department head and the PLSA committee.
Moving Health and Education Committee and putting it together.
PSLA committee.
Be kept.
We have a second? Second. Roll call vote, this is to amend the resolution.
Frazier,
Aye.
Powers,
Aye.
Brockway,
Aye.
Vinci,
Yes.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Mickle, Burley,
Aye.
Marietta,
Yes.
McCarty,
Aye.
Wilbur.
Aye.
Mendez absent. Martini,
Aye.
Clapperton,
Aye.
Basile.
Yes.
Motion to amend resolution 180, 93 ayes, no noes, 7 absent. Amendment.
Motion is second. This is to accept the resolution as amended.
So moved to accept the resolution as amended.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Frazier,
Aye.
Powers,
Aye.
Brockway,
Aye.
Vinci,
Yes.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Mickle,
Aye.
Burley,
Aye.
Marietta,
Yes.
McCarty,
Aye.
Wilbur.
Aye.
Mendez absent. Martini,
Aye.
Clapperton,
Aye.
Basile.
Yes.
Resolution 180 as amended, 92 ayes, no noes, 7 absent, no abstentions. Adopted.
Resolution 183, awarding a bid and authorizing the county administrator to share the board's contract with Accent Striping Inc. for road striping. Cardy, Wilbur, Brockway, Hinchey, Powers.
I'll
second.
have to amend this and take out the word with accent striping incorporated. We haven't picked the vendor yet. I guess. Right?
That's my understanding. I'm assuming that we used an old resolution that we just missed pulling that out.
Yeah. According to the minutes, we hadn't picked one yet, so. Just need to remove those four words.
Is it just in the title or is it?
Just the top, yeah.
No, I think it was second on the amendment.
We have a second.
Second.
Vote on 183 to amend.
Frazier,
Aye.
Powers,
Aye.
Brockway,
Aye.
Hinchey.
Yes.
Kennedy, Mickle, Burley,
Yes.
Marietta,
Yes.
McCarty,
Aye.
Wilbur.
Aye.
Mendez absent. Martini,
Aye.
Clapperton,
Aye.
Basile.
Yes.
To amend 183, 93 ayes, no noes, 7 absent, no abstentions. 183 to amend is adopted. Now to adopt 183 as amended.
We did a motion on second before.
I move that we
We just vote.
vote on resolution 183 as amended.
I second that.
Yes. All right.
It makes Carol happy, so.
Roll call vote.
Frazier,
Aye.
Powers,
Aye.
Brockway,
Aye.
Hinchey.
Yes.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Mickle,
Aye.
Burley,
Aye.
Marietta,
Yes.
McCarty,
Aye.
Wilbur.
Aye.
Mendez absent. Martini,
Aye.
Clapperton,
Aye.
Basile.
Yes.
Resolution 183 as amended, 93 ayes, no nays, 7 absent, no abstentions. Adopted. Late resolution.
Who called it? There you go. One. You can log it off, so now that paper. Who wants all these things? You?
We actually already have them, but thank you.
Thank you.
Next one, I get.
Oh, yeah. Next one. You guys have been surveyed. I got plenty. Here you go. We're gonna get it all.
You next, I just. Didn't think I had it back. Okay. Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
To bring a resolution on the floor, amending resolution 15220260304, awarding bids to various companies and approving the superintendent of highways to purchase aggregate material and service. This is for stone, blacktop, paving, material, gravel. If there's no objections to this resolution, the clerk of the board will read the title and will be seconded and discussed on vote. That's what I'm supposed to read as well.
I got the one part for you, bud. So,
All right.
if there are no objections, a late resolution from the floor will be presented and acted upon in accordance with the rules of order.
From the floor, C will now be 204, amending resolution 152-2026-0304, awarding bid to various companies and approving the superintendent of highway to purchase aggregate materials and services. McCarty.
We need a second. Right. Any discussion today?
Oh, God. Go ahead, Mike.
No.
Go ahead,
I
Meg,
don't have
ask.
anything. No, I have nothing.
Come on, Meg. I'm ready, Meg.
I'm at a loss for words.
Please, Meg.
So we need to explain that the bid number on this was incorrect. There was a typo in the bid number. This was passed last month, but there was a typographic error on the bid number. That's why we're redoing this today. And the old contract expired as of yesterday. Well, that's why we're doing this today. Roll call vote.
Fraser.
Aye.
Powers. Brockway.
Aye.
Hinchey.
Yes.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Mickle.
Aye.
Burley.
Aye.
Marietta.
Yes.
McCarty.
Aye.
Wilbur.
Aye.
Mendez, absent. Martini.
Aye.
Clapperton.
Aye.
Basile.
Yes.
Resolution 204, 93 ayes, no noes, 7 absent, 204. Adopted.
Board Chair Fraser, I would like to bring a resolution from the floor, amending resolution 123-2026-0204, authorizing the Director of Information Technologies to purchase Viacom Modus Cloud Email Security Suite and DMARC Security. And this is due to the advice from the purchasing department to go with this vendor.
You do distribute.
I will distribute it. And this actually is from the floor A, so I'm not really sure what happened to get from the floor C and from the floor A.
Keith was just in.
I was just anxious to get it over with. That's all. I'm sorry for jumping
Oh,
ahead.
no, I was only kidding. I really just am feeling much the time.
I have.
Thank you.
Oops.
If there are no objections, late resolution from the floor will be presented and acted upon in accordance with the rules of order.
From the floor, Resolution A will now be 205, amending Resolution 123, 2026-0204, authorizing the Director of Information Technologies to purchase Vercom Modus Cloud Email Security Suite and DMARC Security Entity.
Second.
Mover second. Any discussion? Do you have any explanation?
No, just that, the purchasing department said, recommended that we go with this, vendor rather than the one that we had previously had due to, their experience and recommendation.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Frazier,
Aye.
Powers,
Aye.
Brockway,
Aye.
Inty,
Yes.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Mickle,
Aye.
Burley,
Yes.
Marietta,
Yeah.
McCarty,
Aye.
Wilbur,
Aye.
Mendez absent, Martini,
Aye.
Clapperton,
Aye.
Basile.
Yes.
Resolution 205, 93 ayes, no noes, 7 absent, no abstentions, 205.
Chair Frazier, I would like to bring a resolution from the floor appointing the Director of Information Technologies. I have it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why are you doing
He was interim and now don't be personnel officer did not bring it. That it was so fine with other.
So, we have discussion.
If there are no objections, late resolution from the floor will be presented and acted upon in accordance with the rules of order.
From the floor, B will be 206, appointing the Director of Information Technologies, Kennedy.
Second. Discussion.
So. Discussion, I'm assuming because, we appointed an interim, we don't have to go out for. And second, is this now going to affect the local law on salaries, or is that already incorporated?
Penny asked if she needed to be here and I was like, I got this, Penny, but I think that it's already
It's already
within.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it is, but we can check and if we
Yeah,
need to
Yeah,
revisit
I just
it.
don't want another oops,
Okay, we'll double check with Penny on that. But this is just to make him permanent in the position.
which I'm fine with doing.
So my question to Meg when I got this morning was, you ran this through Penny, and she said, yes, Penny's the one that brought it to her. So I'm assuming by default, they're signed off by the HR,
Yes.
so.
Understood.
And the acting basically ended yesterday because the director was still, his retirement date was yesterday,
Oh, that's right.
okay?
Okay,
So,
got it.
any further discussion this morning? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Frazier,
Aye.
Powers,
Aye.
Brockway,
Aye.
Inty,
Yes.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Mickle, Burley, Marietta,
Yeah.
McCarty,
Aye.
Wilbur,
Aye.
Mendez absent, Martini,
Aye.
Clapperton,
Aye.
Basile.
Yes.
Resolution 206, 93 ayes, no noes, 7 absent, no abstentions. Resolution 206 is. That's all of our late resolutions, correct? We are going to be needing an executive session. I'm going to be asking for it, but I think we'd like to take like a 10-minute break and go back to the executive session. Director Gibbs, we will be coming back in the regular order after the executive session.
You want to go into executive session, right, or do you want to do that after?
Yeah, what we can do. You can just.
So we'll go into executive session now.
Okay,
And what's the category?
We are gonna be F and H. I'd like to rattle those off.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of medical financial credit or employment history of the person or corporation or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation, and the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property, proposed acquisition of securities, or sale or exchange of securities held by such public body, but only when the publicity would substantially affect the value thereof.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Aye.
Recording stopped.
We're still taking a break.
So we need a motion to come out of executive session, please.
I second.
Is they,
A motion and second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Back to regular session.
Okay, Chair Frazier, I would like to bring a resolution from the floor, amending resolution 379 of 2025-1105. Approving the purchase of 386.86 acres plus or minus of land located on County Highway 33W in the county of Otsego.
You want to share that with everyone, please?
Okay. No, thank you.
Is that Middlefield or Otsego?
It is in the county, it just says the
Oh,
county.
Otsego
County.
County.
I thought it
But you
was
still
town
found-
of Otsego.
There are a couple of these up here.
I think we're just gonna say so.
Oh, well, sure.
That's.
Thank you.
But it's.
There are no objections. Late resolution from the floor will be presented and acted upon in accordance with the rules.
This resolution will be 207, amend resolution number 379, 2025-1105, approving the purchase of 386.86 acres plus or minus of land located on County Highway 33W in the county of Otsego. Kennedy.
Second.
Second, Wilbur, discussion. So what we're doing, we're amending this, the original at the bottom there was at 50, and now it's up to 75,000. That's the amendment. Okay. Roll call vote.
Frazier.
Aye.
Powers.
Aye.
Brockway.
Aye.
Hinchey.
yeah,
Kennedy. Aye. Mickle.
Aye.
Burley.
Yes.
Marietta.
Yeah.
Hardy. Wilbur. Mendez absent. Martini. Clapperton.
Aye.
Castillo.
Yes.
Resolution 207, 93 ayes, no noes, 7 absent, no abstentions. 207 adopted. Do we have any other business today? I just have one announcement that I will be absent at the next county board meeting. I am going to be very happy to be attending my daughter's graduation in South Carolina. I hope you all behave as well in May for Meg as you do for me.
We'll be there.
Thank you. We're adjourned. I'll motion to adjourn.
So much.
Aye.
We're all in favor.
Recording
Aye. We're adjourned.
What Carol?